Hello everyone, and welcome back to a brand new video, where today we return with round 3 of WOR. Yes, we're back here tonight in Saudi Arabia. Of course, if you missed out on last week's video, then I would highly recommend going back and checking it out, of course. You know, we had a lot of fun in the first couple of races. Currently, spoiler alert, we're leading the championship. 37 points to myself. Second is L on 20. Yeah, I don't know quite what we're going to expect tonight here in Saudi, but I just want to keep it clean and tidy. Make sure we keep picking up good, consistent, big hauls of points. But who knows what's going to happen. I'm already jumping into qualifying because I'm a very professional content creator and definitely remembered to start recording before we jumped in. But anyway, let's get on with my fastest qualifying lap. And here we are then here in Saudi Arabia. Round 3 of the season, of course, coming off the highs of last weekend in Qatar. I was feeling quite good. Saudi Arabia has often been a track I've enjoyed playing on the F1 game, so I'm hoping we can try and have a good run once again, of course. As mentioned, leading the World Championship by 12 points as we head into round 3, so really now, of course, it is just about solidifying ourselves as a front-running competitor as the championship goes on. But yeah, Saudi though, actually the first time all season long I felt confident enough to really push the car in qualifying. You know, I'm getting more and more used to F1 23, you know, on Xbox. There are some very minor handling nuances and things like that. Just the way the force feedback works does feel slightly different. So of course, yeah, getting up to speed with that over the first couple of races. And of course, you know, just having the confidence from that win last weekend to know we can push, to know we can take risks here in Jeddah, of course, is really important. And yeah, this first qualifying lap, I'm really proud of. You know, very happy with the lap we were able to get in, of course, under the pressure, as always, of Twitch. There'll be a link down below to my Twitch channel, of course, if you want to watch these races live. Of course, we'll be back this Thursday night at 7 PM there. But you can see Makaze currently on a 1:27.6 there in P3. I think we just saw Senko doing a 27 flat as we make our way in towards the final corner. Really late on the brakes there, taken late in apex as we possibly dare. Glance up against the wall at the final corner, but half a second up on my previous lap. Up towards the line, it is going to be a 1:27.3 there, and that puts us up to P3. Very happy with that. As you can see there, just behind Zenko and a bit late Barry there. And yeah, fractions of a second ahead of Sheepshagger and Makaze there in 4th and 5th. So yeah, like I said, incredibly happy with that lap time. First qualifying session, I felt really confident, but this is Saudi Arabia. You never know what's going to happen around this venue. The slipstream is going to be so important, of course, with especially how powerful the slipstream and the DRS is inside F1 23. Trying to manage that is going to be a very tall order today. And of course, having a look then at the race strategy, I've never really found softs to be particularly effective here in the default cars inside F1 23. So my plan was basically go to half distance on a set of mediums and then take a set of hard compound tyres to the end of the GP. We know we can go for a little bit of an undercut if needed there, and actually having a bit of a look, see what tyre strategies others were going for there. You can see most cars split between the mediums and the hard compound tyres there. You can see bit late Barry just in front of me on that set of hards, but it's going to be 5 red lights then here in Saudi Arabia, and it's going to be lights out and away we go. And Barry actually getting fantastic pickup off the initial phase there. I expected him to potentially go backwards as Sheepshagger down the inside, locks the rears though in towards turn 1 and almost takes me out immediately. That was incredibly scary in towards the first corner, and somehow everyone made it through there without any damage, if I remember correctly. So no idea how we all got around that, but very happy that we were able to there. As yeah, really my game plan early on this race, of course. Always, I'm sure Shenko is going to be trying to just build a gap up at the front of the field there. Barry able to hang on that set of the hard compound tyres. We got Makaze behind us on a set of softs, so it really was split strategy to kickstart this GP. But yeah, really for us, it's just going to be all about just trying to keep up in the DRS train now. I was hoping we could try and get the jump on Barry early on here, but of course the other big thing, this track is about survival. You know, Saudi Arabia, there is no room for error. Any crash you have is going to be high speed. It's going to result in wing damage or potentially losing a wheel. So trying to make sure we keep it clean and tidy throughout the 25 laps is going to be critical tonight. It's Constant Soda already out then of the GP. That's going to bring out a virtual safety car on the opening lap here, and just give us a bit of a second just to calm back down. You know, we've survived the start. You know, the heart rate was still definitely going from that almost incident with Sheepshagger, and now as we start lap 2, virtual safety car is going to come back in, so of course making sure that we're close to the delta and that we're not going to lose out on too much time. You can see about 6/10 down actually in the end, but we were the only one that was able to get on the throttle there, so that immediately is going to allow Barry to try and apply some pressure to Zenko ahead of him there. We've still got Mikaze and Rambo right behind me as well, but yeah, good little restart there, and that's going to mean by the end of lap 2, Barry already now trying to look for the lead of the Grand Prix around the outside of Zenko here before the DRS has been enabled. So we're just going to try and sit back and watch how this one unfolds at the final corner. You know, Twitch chat was telling me my game plan was we've just got to be near the front. We've just got to be near the front with a few laps to go. You know, any sort of risk is pretty pointless there as Barry trying to look around the outside of Zenko down in towards turn 1. I might try and see if we can get a cheeky switch back. There is contact between them, and I have to get out of it to avoid Barry there. Almost accidentally give Rambo a bit more of a squeeze than I ever intended to, and yeah, wrong place at the wrong time, but that's fine. It's 25 laps here. The DRS is so powerful, you can really just sit behind someone until the final couple of laps and then go for a move, and patience was absolutely going to have to be key today. There's see Rambo a little bit hesitant as we make our way through the S's on lap 3. That string of corners often I am very, very confident through. Feel like I've actually been able to get them quite well nailed inside F123 quite quickly, you know, with the extra curbing on the outside. I always struggle with that, so really, really happy with the fact that change has been made there. As our top 3 all are going to run wide there through the next lap. We have to dodge to avoid Barry on the exit of the corner there, as I kind of felt he came a little bit over the road, and unfortunately from that, we actually get an illegal overtake there, so Ekeland is going to be able to move through and into P4 there. Barry a little bit hesitant to try and go for the move around the outside, but of course, I couldn't just take the penalty, otherwise I was going to have to serve that in the race, so we had to make sure that we didn't obviously lose the place to him, because of course, if I picked up the 5-second penalty, I then couldn't get it removed after the Grand Prix once the race is done there. So we had to let him back by, and that's going to push us all the way down to P6 then. So we're already losing a couple of spots behind Barry here. Is starting now to wonder whether, you know, his early confidence was going away there, and that is another piece of evidence to support that case there. Is a big, big wobble. So we're going to go around the outside as we head down towards the end of Sector 2 here, and making sure that we're still inside the range of Ekeland in front, and this has really allowed a lot of those soft compound runners to push towards the front of the field here. Shenko and Rambo actually had a 1-2 very briefly for Mercedes there, but again, you know, all of the focus was just about making sure we were in the right place at the right time towards the end of the race here, as this time around Ekeland not getting a particularly good run, so we're just going to try and test the waters, see what he's going to do there down the outside, and he is going to back out of it rather late. We're able to move back over to the racing line there. Shenko a little bit of a mistake through the next couple of corners. That might allow us to get a little bit closer to him, and he might potentially lose DRS to Mikaze here, so it's going to be a battle between Mikaze and Rambo down in towards the final corner, and I think this is the thing that some of the drivers got to be careful with. There is Shenko, big mistake down in towards the final turn, so we will say thank you very much there, and now back up into P3, but you know, you've really got to play a smart game here in Saudi Arabia. It is very much like a chess match around this venue, as Ekeland is going to go back past me, you know. By all means, use the DRS, go for an overtake on someone, but going side by side into the corners is really going to cost you a lot of time here, and that's what I was so hesitant of when battling with other cars early on this afternoon. There is end of lap 7 now. It's been non-stop action early on in this race. Now Mikaze is going to go down the inside of Rambo, and you know, if that was me, if I was Rambo, I would have been backing out and tucking in behind him immediately then, not even trying to go side by side into the corner. We're going to use a little bit of DRS though to try and get back past Ekeland as we head in towards turn 1, because of course battery usage as well is going to be really important here. Completely missing my braking point though down at turn 1, following Rambo down into the escape road, and that's going to be my first warning of the day. Now we've got my teammate Ben, who tried to eye up a move there, but we just gave him a little bit of a squeeze. You know, he wasn't going to get the run. I didn't really want to be side by side into the next couple of corners there, and Ben, you know, pretty sensible and measured racer there, as Mikaze, a bit of a mistake, and just going to get right in my way through the next corner. That might again allow Ben an opportunity, but can't quite make it happen, and just seemingly that's the third time in the opening 8 laps. We really just have been left in the wrong place at the wrong time there, but again, it's not going to make much difference there, as Rambo now trying to apply pressure to Ekeland once again. Mikaze trying to apply pressure as well, as almost into the back. I think he did just go into the back of Ekeland there down at turn 1. Somehow no damage, and that could have been a really big crash in towards the first corner, but we all make it through clean and tidy once again, and now you can see back up into P3 here, but just trying to keep an eye on our race leader at the front of the field and just making sure that we're staying inside the DRS range of the cars in front of me. There is Ekeland again running out over the curbing through the next corner, so we might now be able to try and apply some pressure and get a move done as well here, as those soft compound tyres really are now starting to fall off. But this is giving Rambo a little bit of an opportunity window to try and break free here, as when closing in on the pit stop windows this afternoon. So just going to have to try and use a little bit more battery. We end up just starting to sit back because, of course, what we can do is use some of the other cars as well if needed there. But Rambo actually making a little bit of a mistake by the end of lap 10, so we're going to be back inside that DRS once again quite easily here, and now might actually be able to make a move for the lead of the GP. So as we head back down towards turn 1, you can see Rambo's out of battery, so this actually ended up going to be quite a simple move for us. Down the inside we'll go at turn 1. Very lucky there not to in fact get a warning as a tiny bit of oversteer on the exit, and now we're into the lead. I'm really umming and ahhing about whether it's worth boxing at the end of this lap there, and leave the other guys to battle each other. And of course the undercut here in Saudi as well can be very, very powerful there. We can see Ekeland has been able to go the distance on the set of the soft compound tyres, so it would not surprise me if he peels into the pit lane as well here. But we're going to actually surprise a couple of cars. Incredibly lucky. You can see my reaction to not picking up front wing damage or speeding into the pit lane there. That one was incredibly scary as we went in, and that could have been game over had I mucked that up there. But heading down into our pit box though, yeah, hopefully we're going to come out into some clear traffic here. As you can see, the two Red Bulls of Makaze and Sinful there heading back down the start-finish straight. So we might actually be racing them as we head out of pit exit there. We've actually gained a little bit of time on Ekeland as well, and just about able to come out ahead of those Red Bull cars there. So that's really critical at this stage of the GP. And you can see now at the end of that lap, Makaze still able to go for a move there, as Sinful falling back now, as I think he's probably going to pit. But we've got a jump on Rambo here, so able to stay ahead of him and use the undercut that Makaze has been able to gain on that set of mediums. So he's gone very aggressive on the tyres right the way through to the end of the GP. And now you can see on lap 13 now, Epix is going to retire, and that's going to bring out our second virtual safety car of the day, and that is going to allow bit late Barry in the McLaren to gain a rather large undercut on potentially everyone here as we come to the end of 13. So he now is able to, obviously he was the only car on a set of the hard compound tyres, so he's going to be able to box in at the end of this lap and try to take a set of mediums to the end of the race. So not only has he been able to make this overcut work, but he's also now effectively had a cheap pit stop, and he's going to be on softer, fresher tyres towards the end of the afternoon. Luckily, we've got such a big undercut on him that he wasn't actually able to capitalise on it on the way I was originally expecting, but he has now been given a huge advantage in this GP. However, has picked up a 5-second speeding pit lane, which at the time, I didn't know whether that was one of the glitched ones that are quite common here in Saudi Arabia. So my plan still was obviously just to try and hang with him in the second half of this race. It's end of lap 14 now, all over the back of Makaze once again. And now really at this stage, this is where Makaze and I need to start working together. The Red Bull is going to really suffer on his tyres towards the end of the race. So what I was hoping he'd do, of course, is just sit with me there. But Barry's actually gone for the move and snuck past him as well. You can see already then the McLaren is going to try and get a run around the outside of myself there. Storms into the lead of the GP. Makaze going for it as well as we head back down in towards turn 1 here. So Barry's going to have to give him the room. An aggressive run from Makaze there, as we're going to try and switch them both on the exit of the corner there. 3 wide on the exit, and we're going to try and slot back in behind Barry there. Makaze not wanting to give it up though. We actually get tagged from behind, almost put into the wall by Ekeland, who somehow gets away with that with no front wing damage there. But now Barry has been given an opportunity to try and break free in this race. You can see Makaze hasn't got the DRS on him by just fractions of a second as we head down in towards turn 1 there. And Makaze trying to defend from myself as we start lap 16. Down the inside we'll go. Very aggressive little move there. A little bit of contact actually, as I was expecting him to back out of it. But clearly Makaze wants to battle every single car for position at this stage of the day. And this is really starting to cost us, because Barry, he might be able to break away now despite that 5-second penalty in the second half of the race. And my kind of thought process at the moment was Makaze's going to struggle on his tyres. Ekeland as well is not going to be sitting pretty by the end of the GP. So I was really hoping they just latch onto the back of me. I could try and drag them up towards those cars in front there, maybe even get out the DRS if possible here, because you see that gap floating at around 1 second. But clearly Makaze and Ekeland had other ideas at this stage of the day, and this is what I mean about Saudi Arabia being such a chess match. You've really got to think of the bigger picture. You've really got to try and work together around this venue to make things work. You can see now we've actually got Makaze out of the DRS range, but lap 19 we get yet another virtual safety car. I don't know who's gone this time around. I think it might be Zhenko who's out then of the GP, but Barry has now got almost a 3-second lead at the front of the field there, but I knew his medium tyres were going to start to fall off towards the end of the day, but as the virtual safety car comes to an end, we were less than a tenth away from the Delta, finally trying to get back on the power, but we timed it so badly there off the exit. Ekelund now is going to be able to get a run on me. Barry's actually pulled out about another half a second over me in the process as well, so we're going to be under even more pressure as we head into the final 5 laps, and this is what I was just hoping. Like I said, Makaze Ekelund, you know, fly past me with the DRS, but allow me to drag them through the twisty bits there. I felt confident through the corners. You can see Ekelund immediately is going to go down around the outside there, going to give him the corner, not going to fight it. He runs very, very deep in towards the braking zone, but gets pretty good traction off the corner. And now what I was hoping, of course, is if I use the DRS, we can just try and get back past him there. But clearly Ekelund wanted to try and fight it as best as possible. Makaze storming back down the inside once again as well there, in towards the first corner. They're going to be side by side through the first turn. I'm going to try and get the switch back on the pair of them and just nick it on the throttle. And we've found ourselves in the wall late on in the day there. A little bit of front wing damage, and that is going to be any hopes of the race win gone. Gone in an instant there, and heartbreak late on in the day. And like I said, you know, just trying to play the strategy with the other drivers. I totally get, of course, you know, they're allowed to fight. I'm not saying they shouldn't fight with me late on in the day, but when we can work together to all potentially get an extra place over a car in front, I just don't get why they were fighting so hard for that position, especially, you know, when Barry was still trying to pull out a margin there. But lap 23, we take the fastest lap bonus point away, trying to scrounge together anything we possibly can as we head towards the penultimate lap, though. It does look like now on the mini-map, Barry has been able to break the gap at the front of the field there. It's up pretty much now at 5 seconds, and still Ekelund and Makaze trying to duke out behind him. But as we make it through Sector 1, any resemblance of points gone. Gone in an instant there. It's always the corner where I make the mistake around this venue, and what a stupid way to end the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. You know, even if we come sort of P2, P3, it would have been 15 points. Even if I'd come down in P8 there with the fastest lap, it still would have been 5 points. But we are going to walk away with absolutely nothing here in Saudi Arabia. You can see heading into the final lap, Barry now has got the 5-second lead that he needs at the front of the field there, and that is just heartbreaking to know. Fast forwarding on then in towards the final few corners of the GP, you can see Ekelund now and Rambo are going to be duking out for the final podium place. But, you know, hats off to Barry. Absolutely had the pace today, but frustrating from my perspective, of course, the fact that I felt like, you know, when I found out that penalty was legit, we could have very much stayed within that 5 seconds had we not been stuck battling as aggressively as we were there. Makaze, his tyres would completely fall off at the end of the day. Barry, though, is going to take the win. It looks like Ekelund is only just going to hang on ahead of Rambo there, with my teammate Ben picking up some good points in P4 there. Zeki in 5th ahead of Sheepshagger. Makaze there. Sinful, Basic, and Luke's are going to round out our top 10. But yeah, so frustrating for myself. But we really did learn a lot, though, from this GP, of course. You know, we're still, I think, P2 in the championship behind Barry. I think he's now on 42 points to my 37. So we're hardly a million miles away as we head out of round 3 of the year. But yeah, a good chance obviously to focus, a good chance to learn, of course, and to accept that as we head in towards the rest of the races, my only goal is score good points, be consistent, be quick but careful, and really just don't fight other cars there and eliminate any kind of minor mistakes that we can make. So disappointing, but absolutely a fantastic learning experience all at the same time there. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very, very soon when WOR returns for round 4 of the year, which off the top of my head, I can't quite remember where we're racing. A massive thank you to my Patreon supporters that you can see currently on your screens. If you want to join them from as little as £1 a month, it would be massively appreciated and you help support my work. You also get access to weekly updates from myself with everything going on behind the scenes with the channel. But yeah, a massive thank you to the names you see on your screen, and we'll be back very soon with a brand new video.